a long-time listener of this program, first off, thank you. Second, you'll know that I don't engage in a whole lot of rumors and stuff, and I really try to avoid rumors that involve Sidney Crosby. I have a reason to make an exception today. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. When Marc-Andre Fleury speaks about Sid, when Max Talbot speaks about Sid, you've got something that's a little bit more substantive than just the random Toronto Sun concoction because they couldn't think of anything to make up about the Maple Leafs that day. The French language daily La Presse had Guillaume Lefrançois covering charity golf tournament over the weekend, and both Flower and Max were there. And there's never another sporting event in Canada that can't somehow be turned into a hockey story. So Lefrançois, to his credit, asked Flower to speak to Sid's future. Flower said that Sid's future is up to him, obviously, that he's loyal to the Penguins, but if it were up to him, meaning to Flower, he'd prefer to see Sid get a chance to win elsewhere. Quoting, albeit translated from the French, "I can't answer for him, but I hope for him that he does leave. It's been 3 years in a row that Pittsburgh has missed the playoffs, and it's not looking good for next season." End quote. Okay, now before I share what Max had to say and before I comment on that, I don't really like that, okay? I don't like Flower suggesting that the Penguins aren't going to be anything for next season when the last time that he saw them, it was up in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was one of the Penguins' more complete performances of the second half. They cleaned the Wild's collective clocks up there. The score was only 3-1, does not come close to describing the dominance that the Penguins enjoyed that day. So, maybe weigh that with the 10-5-2 finish, of which that was a big part. That actually started it, to be more precise, and operate on something more than distant perception as to what it is that the Penguins still have in-house. Now, for the record and to be complete, Max said nothing of the kind. Max said, "It's not unthinkable, but I don't get involved in rumors. It's fun for the fans, for the media to talk about it, but it's going to come down to what he wants to do. We'll see, but I wouldn't bet my house that he's going to leave." Okay, now that's it. There's no substance. No one's claiming any substance. Flower made very clear, I can't answer for him, but I hope for him that he does leave. So anyone who's connecting that to Flower and Sid just having been teammates overseas representing Canada in the World Championships, nothing of the kind is there. Now, I'm going to introduce a concept to this equation. I don't know, maybe I'm introducing it, maybe I'm not. It feels like I am, because I don't think I've seen, heard, or read this notion brought up anywhere else. You ready? It's nuts. What if Sid decides to stay in Pittsburgh? Not because of the one sweater thing, not because of the core, not because Pittsburgh has actually been his home longer than anywhere else since he's been alive. Dispense with any and all syrupy sappiness and everything else. What if he actually likes what it is that he sees? Meaning right here. Meaning in the Penguins, look, in the draft, in the development camp, in the training camp, in what he'd see from Ville Koivunen, Rutger McGroarty, Philip Hollander. I'll be doing a whole episode on Hollander, by the way, later this week, based on some neat stuff I was told. Harrison Brunick, Tanner Howe, the second-round pick in 2024, the one that was taken 2 slots after Brunick, so really the other second-round pick. Also has a lot of natural offensive traits that you really like. What if he just gets energized by it? What if, this is totally wild, what if the Penguins just don't suck? What if this whole idea that, wow, they're going to be so bad and Flower thinks they're going to be bad? What if what's closer to the truth is the team that was on the ice that day in St. Paul? What if, and I'm not in favor of this at all, but what if Brian Rust and or Rickard Rakell were traded for like actual hauls? Meaning you wouldn't just get a prospect or a draft pick. You'd get back people who could really play in addition to more young talent. Repeating for emphasis, I am not in favor at all. Just throwing it out there. What if the defending, the odd man breaks, the breakaways, the late period collapses get cleaned up by the new coach? What if the priority for the defensive group, the actual defensemen, becomes the one thing that Sid values more than anything else from that group, and that's just get the puck up, move the puck, get the puck up to us. We will do the rest. What if instead of just talking about how it could look like what Washington just achieved, it begins to appear, it begins to start happening? I hear nobody bringing this up. It's as if it's unthinkable that this team could be better, markedly better, this coming season than it just was in this one, and yet still significantly younger. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Casey, who says, DK, I'm fine if the Penguins want to keep Brian Rust to maintain the identity of the team. But we're one season removed from a pretty awful campaign by Rickard Rakell. He was really good this past season, but was he good enough to go from, God, I hope he can rebound enough to trade him, to he's too good to trade? It's hard to have this conversation. It really is, with either player, with almost anything related to the Penguins rebuild, reload, whatever you want to call it, because a lot like politics, positions become entrenched, and then it just becomes about protecting the position, as opposed to just being open-minded and thinking about stuff. I'm going to lay out my stance again, and apologies to those of you who've already heard it about 20 times, but this keeps coming. So Casey's not the only one who has this impression that there's nothing out there that could sway me to want to trade Rust and or Rakell. Anytime you're talking about trades, the only thing that ever needs to be weighed, except for extraordinary situations such as having a Sidney Crosby on your roster, is the exchange itself. What are they offering? What do you have that they're asking for? That's it. So if the Sharks call up and they say, we're offering Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, and all we want back is Rust, there's nothing to be dumb about here. I can be against a Rust trade as a default mode based on what I think would be offered back for Rust. But I don't know what would be offered for Rust. I don't know who would be offering it. And I feel exactly the same way about Rakell. If your plan here over the next 1, 2, even 3 years is to build this up to legitimately, and this isn't coming from me, this is coming from Kyle Dubas, give Sid a final chance to contend, not even necessarily for Sid, but so you can capitalize on this really good version of Sid that still exists here. There's more than one benefit to this convergence if it should occur. I think the Capitals were pretty happy with the goal-scoring output they just got from Alexander Ovechkin. They'd be a very different team without him being at, what was it, almost a goal-a-game pace. So if you want to be opposed to some nebulous notion that there's somebody out there who is totally against Rust and Raquel being traded no matter what, you go right ahead and do that. Just leave me out of it. Now, another point to make before I sign off is in rebuttal to your description of Raquel. He was really good last year. Well, okay, that part I agree with. Was he good enough to go from God, I hope he can rebound enough to trade him, to he's too good to trade? Well, I've already made my opinion clear on who's too good to trade, who isn't. But you say that the Penguins are one season removed from a pretty awful campaign by Raquel. No, they're one season removed from an injury-racked campaign. And Casey, I know you watch this team, my man. I know you do. I know you saw that he could not shoot the hockey puck a season and change ago. And so he was trying to compensate by doing everything else. Well, he comes back this past season. He's completely healthy, and he doesn't just have a bounce back or rebound season. He has the best season of his life with 35 goals. You know, this isn't going away. This issue, the Rust Raquel issue, because teams will be interested. Teams will perceive them as available, and as such, teams will make offers. Hunkering down deep into the ditch of absolutes, that's not going to go too well. I appreciate the question, Casey. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.